Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Cloaks and Capes podcast. And whether you've been playing since the beginning, found D&D through 2, 3, 3.5, 4th, 5th edition, 2014, or 2024, or some other game entirely that doesn't even use numbers, welcome in. I am your host, Robbie Landis, a player since 3.5, a DM since 4th. And with me, as always, my co-host, Kali Scales. I know that you've told me before, and I should probably know this, but when was it that you started playing and DM'd for the first time?
I started playing in 3.5 for my first time, and I DM'd in 4th.
Oh, same as me, except you don't remember 4th as fondly as I do.
So the only reason I don't remember 4th as fondly is because I had to learn it like with no one who had ever played it before, so I was literally just learning it out of the book. Like, this is so confusing.
That's the best way to do it. And with us today, we have Spencer, someone that I found on TikTok and who is a new DM, but I think, see a video recently. You're not new to D&D, right?
I am not. I've been playing D&D. Well, I've been playing D&D exclusively 5th edition the past 3 years.
I think that's what you said in the video, too. Yeah.
3 years. So I would say like 2014, 5th edition, obviously. Then last September, everything switched over to 2024. So
then everything changed.
But at least you came in post Tasha's, which is the better era of 2014.
Yeah, that's fair. Mm-hmm.
It did.
And then, so how long have you been DMing for then?
Let's see. I've DM'd like some one-shots, but like truly DMing, I think probably 3 months. Less than 3 months.
Okay, all right. That is new. That is new.
I genuinely thought he was about to be like, I got my first session this Thursday, baby.
That would have been, honestly, great. We should see if we can't find someone who's been playing for a long time, but it's just DMing for literally the first time.
That'd be a good idea, yeah.
Before we get into it, though, I do want to encourage everyone, leave us ratings, leave us reviews. If you do so on wherever it is that you listen, we will read them on air. We also, on Spotify, they let you comment on the episode. So if you comment on the episode, we'll read it on air here. So let us know, what you think. If you have a question that maybe we didn't cover that you want to hear about, or you just want to tell us how cool or terrible we are, completely up to you. I did have one question now, especially knowing that you've been playing for quite a while as well, Spencer. Do either of you have any weird dice rituals that you think are out of the ordinary?
I don't think my group that I play with in person, I've been playing with that group since I started. We're on our campaign 3 right now. They think it's weird. I don't think it's weird. I think it's pretty normal. I have all my dice.
You're about to find out.
Yeah. Let the world tell me if I'm weird. I get there and I have my 8 sets of dice and I roll all my d20s. And if it's anything below a 10, that goes to dice jail for that session. Then I roll the remaining ones, and so I at least have 3 d20s, and that's the 3 sets of dice I'm using for that session.
Yeah. Well, first, Kali, do you think normal weird?
I think it's normal.
Thank you.
I recognize full on that my way of handling it isn't normal, because I've been hurt too many times. So,
Kelly's over here you roll above a 10?
I wouldn't have any dice left if I used that methodology. Here, so I'm going to show you something. This is my bucket o' dice that I use in every session, and that's it.
Those are the ones you trust.
I pull. No.
Not even that.
No, I don't want to put words like trust out there or things that imply that I roll over a 10. No, that is just what I have, and I have learned that no matter what I do, it doesn't get any better or worse. What does I have learned change is different systems treat me better. I am starting to learn, or worse. L5R4E, I roll amazing. Eclipse phase, I somehow roll worse. I don't understand it.
Yeah. So I do think it's normal, actually, because I think that's a similar thing to what Laura Bailey does. I think beforehand she rolls her legions of dice that she has to decide what she's going to use for the day. I also have 8 sets, but the way that I do it is I ask the players who roll not even the lowest, they roll the worst. And so what that means is even if I say, tell you what, low numbers are better, that's when they're going to roll a natural 20. So correct. I will have Kali roll a D8 beforehand, and whichever number it is, that's the set that I use for the day. Hasn't been treating me very fairly recently, but...
In fairness, recently you've been asking other people to roll the D8.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's because Bella in our campaign also rolls terribly low. She's gotten 4 nat 1s in a row before.
I love that the two characters that are dating have players that just roll the worst. That couple is doomed.
Look, you may be a Hexblade now, but you started out as a Jinx Warlocks, and that's staying within the theme.
That's true.
So before we jump into our topic today, we have a little tradition that we like to do on the show here, Spencer. And the reason why I asked you about one of your characters was because I have made a magic item for you that was inspired by that character. So this is the Riptide Wand. It is for Warlocks only. It's rare, requires attunement. This wand is a piece of a splintered trident once wielded by a powerful elemental from the plane of water. It is the top third of the trident with one of the outside prongs broken off, and in its place a pearl with a blue hue said to have been taken from the Kraken's lair. It has 3 charges. You regain expended charges daily at dawn, and when you cast a spell that expends a spell slot, you can force the target to make a strength saving throw against your spell save DC, which they can choose to fail. And on a failed saving throw, they are pushed 10 feet. Additionally, if a creature you target with a spell has the prone condition, you can expend a charge to push them back up, ending the prone condition. And if you are a Fathomless Warlock only, Cold Charge. When you score a critical hit with a spell attack roll that expends a spell slot, you deal an extra 1d8 cold damage for each level of that spell slot. And then it has Spell Forged Enhancement on it, which means that the bonus to your spell attack is equal to half of your proficiency bonus rounded down. So it kind of levels up with you being the +1, +2, and +3.
Oh, sick.
That's going to hit like a truck.
And Riptide is a Fathomless Warlock. He's a
Yep.
Triton. He's a Triton Warlock too. So like Triton.
I do my best. I do my best. If we ever
Heck
get if we ever get an illustration for it one day too, we will be sure to send that along to you. But all right. So with that, if you haven't been able to guess already, today's topic is going to be on DMing. Specifically, the differences between a new DM and a DM who's been at it for a while. A DM who still has hope and trust for the players, and the DMs who have long since lost some bit of innocence within them. So 3 months, Spencer. 3 months you've been DMing for. I guess the first question, and I don't want this to sound cynical, but I know when this comes out, it's gonna sound that way. Why?
Why?
Why would you do this to yourself? No.
Look. For me, it was that Thanos, like, fine, I'll do it myself. Nobody else would. People were schedules, weren't quite lining up. We had one guy that nobody but the DM liked that we didn't want in the game anymore as well. So.
Yeah. No, it's funny. I posted a TikTok a few months ago about like, hey, what other DMs, veteran new DMs, whatever, like what got you or prompted you to go into DMing? And the most common one I got was I had a story to tell. And for me, I didn't really have that. It was more so I call him my home DM. He's a very good friend of mine, but he's my DM since I started to this day. And I was just I'm the person, if you give me a backstory, I'm giving you like a full 12-page backstory, but just like, I just texted it. He was like, hey, can you give me a backstory? I said, sure.
You texted 12 pages of a backstory?
No, it wasn't 12. It was just like, he's like, give me a backstory. Like 5 minutes later, he had like a full senior thesis in this text. Okay. But that thing, and I was always thinking of different things. I was like, hey, also, by the way, like my main character's name is Lucian Alaria. He's a high elf assassin rogue, right? And so I was like, oh, about this, like, the city he's coming from. Like, I homebrewed a city. I was like, he's from the city called Baronfell, the city of secrets, right? Like, he's a crown prince. Like, he's this whole thing. And I would talk to Mark, and I said, hey, I'm thinking about this. He's like, if you're constantly thinking about D&D, like, on your way to work, so that's a sign that you'll probably be a very good DM, right? And so, And so I was like, I'm always thinking like, I'm thinking of intricacies like, okay, Lucian's skin is like, he's a moon elf, but his skin has a blue tinge. What's the lore reason? His mom, the queen, is a drow. Okay, what's the political implication? That's where my mind automatically goes. And so I was like, you know what? And I asked my friends, I said, hey, do you want to I'm thinking about DMing. They're like, yeah, sure. Just start off slow, one shots and things like that. And then I ended up creating this world. It was like, hey, you want to play in it? And so that's really what it
play
is.
some D&D?
Yeah, and they were like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And so that's kind of the why.
Yeah,
if that answers the question.
No, that's a great one. Yeah, that's great. Absolutely, Kelly. I think yours was something kind of, or was sort of similarly to mine, to where you wanted to play, but like nobody was really going to DM.
Well, yeah, I ran into the situation of like I had games that I really, really liked playing in, but they were canceling a lot of sessions. They just weren't running very often. And I kind of had this like, it was almost kind of like a spiteful of, I'm going to run my own game and I'm never going to freaking cancel. Players are going to show up to my game or we're just going to keep running anyway.
Yeah.
And, you know, that has waned a little bit over the years, where now I've got like 4 games a week that I'm running. So if we need to take a day off, we just take a day off. But it was definitely kind of a, I'll do it myself. But I feel in my bones that idea. Like, if you're always thinking about D&D and you're always trying to like piece something together about your character or whatnot, you actually would probably make a really good DM. I was just counting. Do you realize, Robbie, that during the course of the Second Chances, I wrote you 74 fictions for Rosalind?
I mean,
over the course of that game?
You were basically writing one a week.
For a while, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I didn't realize it was that many.
Yeah, I have 74 short fictions written for Rosalind.
Yeah, that's great. And then how many? Also, think about how many games you've used her in now, like as NPCs.
She shows up in all my games.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like there's the old picture where it's the scene from Up. It's like, the greatest honor I can bestow upon you, using your PC as an NPC in one of my games.
Yep,
absolutely. People's PCs make their way into my games in different roles and whatnot. I love exploring the what ifs of, hey, here's this character that you know from one of my games, but this happened differently in this world. So how did they change? And I love that kind of stuff.
So I don't know if I can answer this. So I'm definitely gonna let you two do it first. And Kali, I don't know if you'll even remember either, but definitely for you, Spencer, since you've only been at it for 3 months, is it anything like what you thought it would be, going from players' seats into the DM seat?
No. Yes and no.
Yeah.
We'll start with yes. I know my friends. I know how they play. And sometimes I'm like, that was just not the smartest thing to do. But I'm like, you know what? Hey, and so I think from on the DM screen, I'm like, I know what the story's what's going to happen. But I'm like, you guys can do so much more with your characters, right? I'm like, come on. But then
you get more critical.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, guys, like, work with me here. But on the other side, I think, because especially with this group, we play online. So I knew Roll20, we use Roll20. But I didn't know the DM side of Roll20, like how to do the lighting, how to do and then all the tokens I have to create, and things like that. And so the prep side of things. I understood.
Yeah.
I thought I knew, like, oh yeah, DMs, like, I had a lot of respect. The prep you guys do, but really the prep that goes into it, it's not just a few hours. Really, that's a light day.
You're like, look, I'm thinking about stuff all the time, so really I don't even have to prep all that much. You'll just be writing down what I think about while I'm in the car. So much
then
more.
You forget about it. Then you're like, oh, that's something triggers.
I do my thinking at night before I go to bed, have full conversations like, oh, that's such a great line. And then the next morning you're like, no.
Exactly.
What was I thinking? Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I think for me, it started off as a really different experience. And like you say, the prep was the big one, I think, of having to make the change, especially when you're preparing combat and you're like, okay, I need to have a battle map and I need to get my players' tokens. I need to figure out what the enemies are going to be in this combat. And I will say that as I go along as a DM and get more used to running combats, that is a lot faster than it used to be. But when I first started, my documents for my session prep was long and detailed. I was trying to like anticipate different things the players might do so that I basically had a full session kind of outlined. And now it's, not nearly that anymore. It's a lot more ad lib. I feel a lot more comfortable just kind of rolling with what my players want to do, having those kinds of scenes. Like, I'll stand in the shower in the morning going through moments in my head and like what I might want to have my NPCs say and do. And I'll just kind of feel comfortable then bringing up those moments later. And I'm way more comfortable now with in my mind when a thing happens in game, just going, oh, this would be sick if this happened right now, and just do it.
Just
and
do it.
We'll figure out the consequences of it later. Maybe it ruins something. I don't know.
I don't know if it's my acting, my improv background that makes me tend to fall towards the improv side a bit more, because there's definitely been times where I've over prepped or I've gotten really detailed in my prep as well. But definitely more recently, especially like with the Golden Vault stuff that we've been doing with the campaign that I DM that Kali's in, is bullet point it. And a lesson that I've learned more recently than I care to admit is the more prep that I have, oddly, the more difficult it is for me to go along with either a new idea or something unexpected, because you always sort of get that moment of like, okay, let me reorient, let me readjust. And when you're looking at your notes, you think, how do I get back to this?
How do I get back to what I had planned?
Whereas the less that you have, you're more willing to just, all right, let's just go with it. Let's see what happens. And something that I'm going to reiterate every single time, because with the proliferation of actual plays and how professional people look, when we're seeing them on TikTok, we're seeing them on YouTube, I think that there is this preconception of when you're playing, you have to stay in the moment as a character and as a DM, because you never see Brennan be like, all right, time out, guys. I need 10 minutes to like figure out how to unfuck this, right? You never see Matt Mercer like the most is like, let me check a book really quick, or let me bring up like, D&D Beyond. But it's okay to stop and be like, whoa, that caught me off guards. Let's take a coffee break or whatever. And I need a minute to try and orient myself.
I did it literally 2 weeks ago in session where my players had come up they were basically underneath this tree, and down there was a literal tear in time that they found out that when the people who live there had been exploring it or trying to understand it, one of them got too close, got pulled into it, and he's just gone. No one knows where he is or when he is or what happened to him.
I thought you were going to say they jumped into it when they clearly weren't supposed to. And I'm like, I don't know what you expected.
Exactly.
They were going, so they go down there and they kind of all approached it. And as they did, I had them roll a D100, and I gave them either a vision of their past, present, or future to just kind of as a flavor.
Sure. I was going to say, you had to have like prepared something for what if they try to go in.
Right. Well, and so what they did that I wasn't expecting is one of them, who is he follows the guiding star, that's his goddess. He took his amulet of the devout off, or his literal like blessed amulet that she gave him, and threw it in to try and help the person that had been torn through time. And was it an
NPC that got pulled through time?
It was an NPC.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It was a nameless NPC.
Sure,
it was just
sure.
Like, there was like, has anyone ever gone into it? And I'm like, yeah, someone went into it, and they have not shown up since. No one knows what happened to them.
Yep.
But they threw it in to try and help it, and I literally went, "You just gave up your like magical item that I homebrewed for you.
Oh, don't you
did a Kali?
Stop.
My game, you pulled a me?
We had a DM give her a special item from her goddess that she broke that same session over her knee.
Yeah, I did do that. She was real mad. Yeah, she was real mad. But yeah, so I literally was just like, okay, guys, we're going to take a 5-minute break, grab a water, use the bathroom, whatever you got to do. And I'm going to think about what the ramifications of that are. And I came back with it was off the top of my head, but it was a cool moment. Everyone seemed to like it.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Sometimes just say, we're going to take 5. I need to think about that for a moment.
Yeah.
So do you remember your very first session DMing?
Yes.
I'm sure that Spencer does.
I'm like, Kali? I have the notes.
How long ago was that?
I was 16, so that was 19 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's see.
Imagine having a memory like that pristine and that unravaged by the ADHD.
I will tell you, I don't remember tons about it, but I remember running my players. It was really early on in my like playing D&D at all. I'd only played a few times before that, and I remember my sibling making his atheist paladin, his atheist dragonborn paladin. That was that game. I remember having my cousin there who just played a drunk lecherous dwarf, which was hilarious. I had one of my friends there. She had never played any D&D or anything like that, but she found like the Eldrin Scion and thought that's cool as hell. And she played like the bitchiest Eldrin Scion you've ever seen.
For those of you listening or watching, before we had like things like Critical Role and Dimension 20 and like Tales of Ventress and Transplanar. This is what backstories were back in like 2010, 2015. Yeah.
There was no depth to any of these characters beyond a gimmick, basically. But yeah, I remember trying to run it through and trying to like piece together combat, because I ran a combat in the first session and it was a mess. The whole thing was a mess. That's what I remember vividly.
Oh, what about you, Spencer? Tell us about your first time DMing.
Yeah, so the session 1, I think honestly, session 1 and 2 were already ready, because one, they didn't finish where I thought they were going to. So it became session 1.
They never do.
They never do. But how I was thinking of it was more so I didn't want the traditional, you guys meet in the tavern, you meet in the forest. So in my world, I created, on this continent called Clemanta, there's 4 countries. There's Drela, Feoria, Dunharrow, and Faerwa, right? Mm-hmm. And I created 4 separate chase scenes. I rolled a d4, and on Roll20, we use Discord to Roll20. Okay, roll a d4. You join me in the Whisper channel. They don't know, but so each of the characters had very different experiences in the world, and they met at this place called the Mount, where the entrance to the City of the Gods, right? But they each had very different experiences. One character, he was traumatized when he saw Deva come through, because he thought it was Fae, and the Fae were chasing him, right? So it's like, no, right? And so it was kind of,
there's always one.
Exactly, always one. And so, for that one, that was my favorite one writing, because I was like, in my world, the Fae live on like basically, think the Hallelujah Mountains from Avatar, but all their cities are up there, right? And so
very cool.
He's like, oh, you wake up in the forest, but you see like what looks like to be an ocean. He failed his perception check. So he looks like to be an ocean. He's like, you see these Fae flying toward you. What are you doing? I'm just going to jump in the ocean. Okay, jump off. He's like, yeah. You're falling at hundreds of miles an hour, thousands of feet, and you see the forest. He's like, wait, what do you mean? I was like, what do you do? And so it was kind of that. It was really cool. And then that's kind of how they ended the session, really, all of them. It was a 3-hour session, and literally after that session, they were all like, that was sick, And I think for me, I was very nervous, because I was like, what they hate it, right? And they were like, that's sick.
Look,
that is also every DM.
We're gonna let you know right here, right now.
Never goes away.
Never goes away. 10 years from now, you'll be starting a new campaign with those same friends, and you're still going to sit down for that first session and be like, oh my God, what if they hate it this time? What if this is the one?
Or it doesn't even have to be the first session. Literally, last session I ran, I was like messaging one of my players being like, I got to tell you, I don't know about this one, guys. I don't know if could be the one that you all decide you don't like playing with me anymore.
I'm gonna reiterate it. I feel like I do it every couple shows. Players, please check up on your DM afterwards. Let them know you had fun, because even if at the end you're like, all right, great session, everybody, that was so cool, had a lot of fun, and then all the cameras go off or you leave, whatever. Yeah. As soon as they're alone, they're gonna go, but was it?
Literally, yeah. So everyone seemed like they had a great time in the session, and then in the last 5 minutes, one of the players just seemed kind of quiet, and so I wrapped up the session like, they hated it. They hated it. Never mind that they were like smiling and enjoying it most of the night. They hated it. It was horrible.
Yeah. So please check in. Be the emotional support player for your DMs.
Please. No. Please.
The only thing
we're so needy.
Yeah, we are.
For being the DM, we're so needy.
And we torture our players, but we're also needy, right?
Really, that kind of makes sense. As the DM, we are in a way the center of attention. Like, even though there are sometimes those scenes where everyone's role playing with one another, and so we're like removed from it, you would think like, oh, well, if you're a center of attention, why do you like those moments so much? Because I created this.
Yeah.
I set this up. This is happening because of me. I think the only thing that I remember from my first session, it was kind of like a session 0 into the first session. We were like creating characters and stuff. And I just remember the guy that everybody hated that the other DM like wouldn't get rid of, that I did have at first in the group because maybe it'll be different if I'm the DM. I can control things. I can make sure things go all right. The only thing that I really remember about that is him bragging because he was playing an artificer, or maybe it was whatever the 4th edition equivalent of the artificer was. I don't remember if it was the artificer or not, but he was bragging about how, like, when I get to level 4 and when I do this, and if I multiclass this way, I can basically create any magic item in the entire game for us, and it'll be super broken. I was just sitting there like, why is that a thing, A, you would want to do, and B, brag about?
Yeah.
So that's all I remember of my first session. The rest is lost to the ether. We kind of already mentioned a little bit, talking about that. So that over to under prepping. Spencer, you had definitely mentioned you think a lot about your world and different sort of contingencies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you over prep? Do you rely on like the improv nature of it? Which side do you think you exist on?
I think, well, based on the history of the past 3 months, I think I over prep, right? Because I'm always writing 2 sessions ahead because I just stop where the time just stops. I'm like, I don't even have to. It's fine, cool. Yeah. But I'm always making changes to it as well, right? But then sometimes I'm like, in session, I'm like, that I don't really like that, or they do something very different. I'm like, that makes the rule of cool. That's so much better than I thought of. Let's just go with that, right? And so, and then I just really, like, I tell, like at my job, there are people asking me about D&D. I'm like, really, I'm just facilitating a platform for the players to explore. And it's really like, sure, I have a story in my head, but it's really just give and take. But, I'm reacting to what you do, what you're doing. And so, really, that's really what I do. So I can't really say like I over prep. Mm-hmm. I over prep the story that I have in my head, but I can't really prep enough for them because they are very wild in my game. So
I think one of my favorite things is when you have those moments where the player comes up with something that like you didn't think of, or just is like is like perfect for this moment. And sometimes that can be big things like a plot, related thing. Sometimes it can be smaller. We just recently had a session where they were in a fight with a kraken nearby, and our druid of the Blighted Lands, who kind of has like a little bit of like a Hulk thing going on with his dead husband. The dead husband took over, hulked out, hit the kraken before it died, and then afterwards, sorry that you're finding out like this, Kali. The player was like, what if because of that, next time he comes around, he has some kraken abilities? And I'm like, you know what? What if he did?
What if he
did? Yeah.
Let's find out.
So the next time that Elamir comes around, Kali, he's gonna have some Kraken-like abilities as well.
I mean, that makes sense to me. No, I think what you described there, Spencer, is like one of the best tools a young DM can have in their arsenal. I think the primary, like the most common mistake young DMs fall into is having their prep be gospel. Like, this is how it has to go. This is how it has to work. Being willing to call an audible is a huge tool that I think a lot of young DMs don't have off the rip.
And not just in like the story prep or like your plot or whatever, because I used to feel this way as well, that like once I prepped combat, for example, that once we're in the game, like that's the rules. This is what I prepared. It would be unfair of me to change this for some reason. And I think that's one of the reasons why you get like some DMs who, oh yeah, TPK'd my party, right? Like, I know there's some people who might on TikTok. I know that if they see this particular section here, it'll create the whole, death and consequences, and no, don't take it easy on them, blah 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 blah. But I staunchly believe that the DM's job is to make sure everyone has fun and to challenge them. Now, that doesn't mean that character death can't happen or that it should or shouldn't happen. I don't really fall on either sides of those. However, you as the DM, you have control over that TPK. There's no accidentally TPKing.
Yeah.
You can see that coming a mile away, and you then get to make the choice on whether you follow through with it or not. So to that, there have been times, I think, where it happened for me was they were going into a boss fight. They wanted to do a short rest before the boss fight. And I'm like, he's just up the stairs. No.
He's
So like
literally right there.
Yeah.
So like
he's looking at you.
Yeah, his guards like came down and was like, "Come on, boss wants to see you." And they're like, "In a minute, we're good." And they're like, "No, you're coming with us." And like they basically attacked them, and then they won that fight. And we're like, "All right, well, we're gonna go ahead and take our short rest anyway." And so then I had to decide, like, all right, do I send more guards down? Is it just the boss up there? And in that particular instance, I decided this is a choice that they made that has now made it easier for them. I'm gonna let them keep that win, right?
Yeah.
But like when Kali comes in with her 2014 Paladin and somehow double crit smites on a fiend and it has 10 HP left, and it's some sort of like big plot figure, if I'm like, here's 100 more HP, that doesn't take away from the high that Kali felt from getting a double crit on it, right?
Still
you don't have
great.
to give them that easy win. Put some more HP on there. Add another mob in there if it's not as challenging as you anticipated it. And especially if you look around and like everyone's bored or they like feel too safe. Yes, call an audible on the fly. Add something, remove something if you need to. Just make sure that people are excited and engaged.
Yeah, like in my session 0, I told them, because how I did it, I did session 0, then I had one-on-ones for I did a month long. So we have a month before session 1. I'm going to have one-on-one with each of you to talk about your characters, right? And like anything I should know, but also like
big fan of that.
Like, hey, like one of my characters, she's we had a homebrew erase her, and like she's like, I want to be kind of cursed. And I was like, okay, cool, right? We can do that. And also, I'm like, hey, you're a noble, but you're a soldier. Like, tell me about that. So soldier background. Well, my dad's a general. I was like, okay, cool. So I would know you probably are well educated, right? You come from money. You have like, tell me about like your interactions. That was the purpose of those one-on-ones, right? Because it's very much my story as theirs. But in that regard, I also told them, I said, hey, first thing, if there's anything you guys want to do, always ask. I want you all to say, like, hey, can I do something? Yes. What do you want to do? We'll make the appropriate checks. Cool. Secondly, I said, I'm not, like, I leveled them up to level 3 fairly easy because I'm like, okay, first off, I don't like running at level 1. It's just, you guys are squishy.
Thank you. I start all my games at level 3. I think level 1 sucks.
Yeah, so I said, like, for story purposes, level 1, level 2, boom. And I made a whole, like, the gods imbued you with power, level 3. Cool, whatever. Right? But I said, I'm not going to, once level 3, if you do it, you do it. Or I'm not holding back, because at that same time, you guys have played enough D&D to know, well, at level 3, you're not them. Right? But I said, I'm not going to purposely TPK, like to your point, Robbie, right? But the encounters will be hard and challenging, but it's not just combat. It's going to be physical combat. It's going to be mental combat of the mind as well. So you're going to have to think as well. And they said, we're all game. But when we did that, they were like, oh, you're serious about combat of the mind? I'm like, yeah. Because I feel like combat is fun, but when I have to make you think, it's so much more fun. And so, yeah.
Oh, man. I love it. I love getting to go back to like the early days of DMing and like, especially because like Spencer, I really feel like you're really kind of ahead of the game on a lot of it. Like I've talked to some new DMs where like obviously, I would never like want to discourage anybody, but there's, some thoughts like you've got some work to do still. Like, it is hard, and a lot of what you're talking about isn't quite yet like. Your goal at the end of the day is obviously to tell a story and to make sure your players have a good time. And a lot of DMs lose track of the idea that the players are storytellers too. That's why I actually hate the use of the term storyteller for the DM's position. I prefer referee or something like that, because that's really what you are. You're the arbiter of the rules and you're the final arbiter of the story. But the players are every bit as much storytellers as you are, at least if you're, doing a good job of bringing them into it and letting them influence things.
I don't want to call it a red flag, but one of the things that I see DMs say sometimes that I don't think, because it's not wrong, but it does always put me a little bit like, is, well, the DM deserves to have fun as well, which I 100% agree, but it's usually, like, I usually see it in defense of, like, this thing that DMs do isn't fun for players. Well, the DM deserves to have fun too. Absolutely. But not at the expense of the players. And at least in all of my experiences, when the players are having fun, I'm having fun. There's never been a moment where everyone else is having fun and I'm over here like, no, they used counterspell on me again.
Yeah.
No, it is one of those things where it's like if everyone's laughing at the table and having a good time and you're not having fun as the DM, you probably don't want to be the DM. Like your goal is for everyone to be laughing and having a good time. You are being a performer at its core.
Mm-hmm.
The only time I can ever recall actively having a bad time as a DM is when I feel like the energy at the table is dead.
Yeah. All right, here's the big question. I know the answer for me. I know the answer for Kali.
Yeah.
So you consider yourself a dungeon master. You ran 3 months, a couple sessions here. You got some one-shots under your belt.
Yeah.
But, Spencer, have you actually read this? Have you actually read the Dungeon Master's Guide?
I love that you're holding it upside down.
I have not read that version. Like, no. So
God damn it.
I think, so I will say this. I started off reading it. I did 2014, then I got to 2024. I'm actually on my bookshelf over there. And then I realized when I got to the I was like, okay, city building, world building, all this good stuff. It's like, this is just, no.
It's very basic things that if you've ever written a story before, a lot of it is just kind of like common sense stuff.
Yeah.
I read the first chapter of the DMG and nothing else.
I've only read what I've needed when I needed, but in 4th edition, I did read cover to cover DMG and Player's Handbook because I worked like a 3rd shift job, so I had nothing else to do.
Yeah. I will say what took a lot of the pressure off when I was first doing the first drafts like a year ago of my world, the line says, "This is just a guide." Like, this is literally just a guide. You don't have to follow it rule by rule. It's like, oh, thank God. Okay, and let's close this back. Let's just do my own thing, and I'll just reference back later.
Well, we talk about it all the time. You are the final arbiter of the rules. If the rules as written don't make sense for the moment or don't make sense for the story being told, change them.
Yeah, and that's like we have in my home campaign. We have he's not like, I hate to use this phrase because he's not what this phrase means. He's not a rules lawyer, but he would be the closest equivalent to that at our table. But
he's a rules advocate is what we use.
Exactly. He likes board games and he's very passionate about it. It's just, he's like, I don't know if we can do that, or you know what I mean? And I'm like, hey, calm down. All right. It's just it's a fantasy game with colorful math rocks. It's going to happen,
Yeah, it's great having someone at the table because, look, for the life of me, when my life's on the line, I'll never be able to tell you without looking at grappling versus restrained. So having someone there who just knows all of the fine minutia, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to be like, hey, this is how it actually works, I absolutely love that. But know that in some cases, I might be like, cool, glad to know that's how it works. In this case, we're going to do it differently.
Robbie, fork to your nose in a dark alley. Your life is on the line right now. Grappled, prone, restrained. Which one gives disadvantage on dex saves?
Prone, because you're on the ground.
No.
What? Grappled. No. What? Restrained? Wait, hold on. Wait. What? If you're grappled, you don't have disadvantage on dex saves. Only one of them?
I'm going to go double check.
You didn't even have it up? Because personally, I feel like all of them...
it's not grappled. It's just restrained.
I feel like all of them make sense. I feel like restrained, if your speed is 0, it should be that you just automatically fail dex checks. Nope. See, this is what I'm talking about, though. We're terrible at this.
The only one that automatically fails dex checks and saves is paralyzed.
Yeah, that makes sense. That one makes sense. All right.
Anyway, the rules are stupid and they're just a suggestion is what we're saying.
Absolutely. Yeah. Indeed, they are. All right. So one of the last questions I have here, and this is on player engagement. I would love to know, Spencer, what are some of your tips or tools or tricks to keep your players engaged in the moment?
Call them out.
So if they start to disengage, hey,
not like that. It's more so like if a character, like I just added a new person to my table on the last campaign. Our DM kind of like just fizzled out not because she didn't want to. It's more so she was like, I'm overwhelmed with life. Right? I said, okay, hey, I feel bad. Join my campaign. He's newer to D&D, and he's playing one of my favorite classes, but also I think the subclass that he chose is very tricky for a first-time D&D player. He's playing a Rune Knight fighter.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I will say that, yeah, you know what? Fighter, obviously, great class for a newbie. Very simple and easy to get into. Rune Knight is questionable. That's a little harder. But no, I think it's doable. Like, I think Eldritch Knight is tough to like be good. At least they didn't pick Arcane Archer.
Got much better. Eldritch Knight in 2024, much better.
Yeah, at least they didn't pick Arcane Archer.
Yeah.
Which, even with their proposed changes, still not
terrible.
Great. Still not great.
Still not great, no. But he's not... I feel like everyone who's in the D&D, you feel weird doing the actual role-playing things, right?
Sure.
And so I literally... When we're in session, I only use their character names. And so I said, Toshiko. His name is Toshiko. So Toshiko, tell me about describe for me how you're feeling this moment. And I just keep it like that. I just keep it like that.
Yeah, I just did a one shot the other day and had someone from our community who had mentioned like they do a lot of like play by post. They don't do a lot of stuff in voice. They're really shy. It's hard for them to speak up. And afterwards, a couple days afterwards, they had sent me a message saying, "I really appreciate how you drew everyone into the in during the quest, taking time to ask us questions about how our characters were feeling, giving everyone an opportunity to speak or interact with the story, prompting here and there without being pushy. Made it a lot easier for me personally to feel engaged with the quest, even if I was mostly quiet. I sometimes have trouble finding a place to interject during RP or other things in voice games, and your approach made it so they didn't feel left out, something that not all DMs have done." So again, you may have only been playing for 3 months, but you seem to have the instincts of a veteran. So your players are very, very lucky. That's very, very, very cool to see. All right, last thing that we got here before we get into something fun. What is your... I got two questions for you. The first is, do you have a favorite resource? It could be like a third-party book, could be like some sort of like website or a digital tool, something like that. And then what is something that you wish you would have known when you started DMing? Oof. Take your time if you need to. We can edit this. We can cut this part out so that way it'll look like we're really snappy and we just jump right in there.
Yeah, go ahead. You can start.
No, yeah. I think since I spent so much time on this specific website to build out my map. It's Asgard's fantasy map. I don't know if you guys have used it. It just generates.
I don't know.
It just generates a continent, and you can it automatically populates the population of the continent, the landscapes, the cities, the populations. You can add walls, cityscapes, trails, rivers, all the good stuff. You zoom in and have all that there.
Okay.
You can also adjust the borders and things like that, and you just have to save it, because I worked in it for 3 months and then I didn't save it and I had to restart over. And so it was great. there was some tears shed, but that one I have to say that's my favorite tool, because now
when it makes all of that stuff, does it take into account like how actual geography would affect? Because that's my biggest thing right now with needing to make a world map is I'm going to put something somewhere and someone's going to be like, a river couldn't form that way, you idiot. Not with that mountain there.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not smart.
Take into account that. It also takes it has shipping routes as well.
Yeah, that's great. That is favorited and bookmarked now.
So it just saved a lot of time for me. But I think the thing that I wish I would have known is it's kind of like, what's the best way to say this? Let me think about this. I think it goes back to, like we all said, it won't go away, right? When you have your first session, are they going to like it? But more so, your players do not know what you have prepped. So either way, they're just happy to play D&D. And so that takes away some of the pressure. Because now, we're about to have session 7, I'm just like, yeah, okay, that's cool. All right, that's fine. We'll just plug that in there, But I think they're gonna have fun either way, because they like the story that we've created. So you've done all the prep. Now you're just playing the campaign. They didn't like it either way.
And in most cases, they can't tell what you prepped and what you do on the fly. And in my experience, they tend to like the stuff done on the fly better. And when they find out, like, that was all just sort of like
improv,
improv, they go, no.
Yep.
That sure was. Like, oh, it was so great. I was like, well, what did you think about the interrogation stuff? Because that was prepped. Oh, yeah, it was all right. And it's like, oh, man.
I was like, so I'm just going to get off
3 hours on that part.
Yeah, I'm just going to go and cry in a dark room. Thank you for that.
Exactly.
What about you, Kali?
So as for tools that I love, I mean, there's like the simple things like, token stamp and whatnot for like making tokens, which are great. Honestly, we do a lot of D&D stuff, D&D Beyond, for all of its evils and all of its faults, and they are numerous. Just having like somewhere where I can go like, all right, monsters, CR 10 to 15. All right, flip through. What do I need? What sounds right for this?
Yep.
Is really helpful. A piece of advice that I wish I had known when I started is about NPCs and their stories. I have grown to be such an advocate of having a traveling NPC with the party that grows and changes and experiences things and can be influenced by the party. And I know there are a lot of people out there who do not like DMPCs, who do not like having that person who's ostensibly a party member because they feel like it's just the DM getting to live out their power fantasy. And it can be. It absolutely can go that way. But I'm telling you, I have found that my players absolutely love having an NPC with them, as long as they feel like they influence that NPC. As long as they feel like they have had a hand in creating that NPC story and how they change and how they grow. It is. I had a session I'll never forget in Curse of Strahd, where the whole session was ostensibly about this NPC.
Not because you made it about them, because the party was so invested in them.
Well, effectively, what I wanted is they were no longer able to be a paladin, so I was having them take basically a samurai's oath, and they were going to be a samurai fighter after that. And so I had my NPC learn the 7 tenets of Bushido through a conversation with each of the party members who best represented that tenet.
Awesome. That's so great.
So at the end of it, when she is given her katana and becomes a samurai, it is through the lens of how all 7 of the other people affected her and changed her.
Excellent.
And it was like, that's a cool moment. And again, that whole session effectively was about this NPC and not about the party, but it really was about the party.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that when people say DMPC, you're right. Our minds immediately go to like the power fantasy type deal. But really, you're using them as like the party NPC, right? The DM may control them, but like, when I played Zana that way in our campaign, she, even in combat, when she would attack things, she never got like a killing blow or anything like that. And I would normally have her look to all of you for what to do.
Right.
So the party was ostensibly telling her and controlling her. So it was never, if she ever stole the spotlight, it was because everyone's like, no, kill it, please, kill it right now.
No, they're going like Rob, every time she misfired, and we all went, oh my God, Zana,
they were actual misfires, unfortunately. I didn't pull any of her punches. My go-to resource, I talk about this so much. Let me make sure I'm holding it the right side up. Arcane Artifacts and Curios. If you want to support a independent creator by Madeline Hale. This is 1,000 magic items. There are 1,000 system and setting agnostic magic items in here. You basically roll a D10 for a chapter and then a D100 for an item. And it gives you an appearance, an enchantment, and a history. So depending on what kind of game you're playing, you would have to like come up with what those mechanics look like for the game.
Yeah.
But if you've ever had that moment where they're like, hey, we want to go to a magic item shop. Well, I didn't prep one, but okay, well, what are you looking for? No, I'm just window shopping.
You slime.
I don't know what you want.
Yeah.
So now it's just like, all right, roll some dice and I'll tell you what's here. And maybe it's something cool that they want, and maybe it's not. But there's some really cool stuff. There's some really dumb stuff in there. And it normally always leads to some fun discovery of like, okay, well, what exactly does it do, or what does it mean? We have our Bloodhunter got a book that is essentially a spell book that has the soul of all the previous wizards who've used it inside of it. So I'm like, all right, cool. When you use this, you can ask it a question and you get triple advantage on like an Arcana, History, Nature type check. But if you fail the saving throw, it starts draining your intelligence. And the first day that she used it, she ended up getting 3 natural 20s on different checks. And so now she's like, oh, this is great. And Kali's character's like, stop doing that. It's going to eat your soul. And it's so much fun.
It's an evil, cursed book.
So much fun. My tip is, I cannot stress this one enough, use third-party narration as a player and as a DM. The player and the character are different, and you should treat them as such. Tell the players things that are happening that like you would see in a movie or that you would read in a book, where it's like, meanwhile, over here, that the characters don't get to know, right? The players can know those things and not act on it, and it gives you a whole nother level of storytelling to use. When I first saw the power over, it was in Misfits in Magic. The very first session at the beginning, some stuff happens, and then Abria asks Brendan to make like a perception check, and he fails. But you can tell she wants to tell them. And so she's like, what you all don't see, and like the way that and then she describes it, and their reaction was like, hold on, we don't see that happen? Yeah. Because now as the character, you just have to forget it. But as the player, you know it's there. Yeah. And this especially helps in player-to-player relationships. We were talking about this today on stream when you have like the edgelord characters, like people who are playing assholes. If you're just playing your character, you have that moment where like someone asks you about your backstory, and then you do the lone wolf and tell them to leave you alone. And then they're like, all right, fine. And then 20 sessions later, you're like, why isn't anybody asking about my backstory? Because you told us to leave you alone and you're a dick. But if instead you respond to them, leave me alone, I don't want to talk about it, and I'm never going to. And then my character storms off, but there's hesitation. And you can tell in that moment that was more for them than it was for you, that they're lying to themselves. That lets the player know, keep trying. I want you to figure it out, but we're going to play a little game of cat and mouse. Exactly. Use more of that as both the DM and as the player.
I think, because for my main campaign, I think we went through a full campaign. I think, and we got through halfway through our second campaign before I told any of the party members, the characters, that I'm a prince. My character is a prince. And I think that, because they all, oh, he's an elf. He's just uppity or snooty. I'm like, no, I'm just, and I'm like, that's just not Lucian, though. Lucian's also a prince. That's kind of like how he was raised, right? But he's also an assassin, and so I think I would say and so now I'm like, I think Lucian. I always say Lucian would do this. But I'm like, me as a player, I'm like, well, I don't want to do that, but Lucian, that's what the story wants, right? Yeah. That's how we're playing for 3 years. So I think that's a really great point you brought up, Robbie.
I also want to follow up on you talking about Abria showing, like you're saying, what you don't see. I am a big fan of vignettes, of letting the players see things that their characters don't. When I was running Whispers and Silence, as we got into the second act of it, the big bad has made themselves known at this point and knows about the party. And so I literally struggled as I was getting into the second act going, okay, why isn't she just showing up and murdering them all? Because she's lost to a bunch of plucky adventurers before. She knows what can happen if you let them just go. So why isn't she doing that? So what I settled on was every session, at the beginning of session, I was going to give a quick vignette scene set somewhere else on the continent, showing a little bit of her machinations and what she is currently doing that is keeping her busy from not just destroying the party, and how she's trying to set things up in her favor. And then I let it all come together at the end of that act when they had their big fight with her. And that was, I at least think everyone enjoyed it. I think it's a cool way of making the world feel more alive, as you're seeing that even when the party's not around, things are still happening to the NPCs that they've met and to the villains that they know.
I love doing that at the end of a plot arc, or when you get to a new region, and then doing 5 or 6 little vignette scenes of people or places that they've been to through that plot arc and where they are now, what they're doing now, how the party's intervention has affected them in a positive or a negative way. Because otherwise it just feels like, all right, we completed that quest, we're moving on. And like, you still have those memories, but now it's just in the rearview. And that gives it this feeling and this sense of like, when we leave a place, it keeps on going.
Yeah.
Those people, those characters are living, and how have we affected that? Spencer, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here and talking with us. We do have one more little thing here. Now, normally we do like an Am I the Asshole type thing at the end from the perspective of people's players, but we're running a little low on those. So if you're listening to this, check the show description. There is a link there. And go and submit a story about a time when you think your character, we don't want like real life thing where people are going to maybe get their feelings hurt and, get big mad about stuff. But
I literally flipped the table over and punched my DM. Am I the asshole?
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe, probably. So we're going to do something else. This is the second time we've done this. I'm calling this a monster in 10 words. So I'm going to give the two of you one word at a time as hints, and then you have to try and guess what the monster is.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Great. Awesome.
Now, this has actually been here for a minute, and I don't know if Kali tried to cheat or not. If you want to, Kali, go ahead and look under the spoiler tags, because I anticipated you might. Go ahead and read to everyone what the 10 clues are.
Kali, why are you trying to cheat? Stop looking.
So I have the real answers in a different chat somewhere else. So
I did think it was weird that you would put them in there at all. I didn't look, but I was like, why wouldn't you just put them on another document?
Well, thank you for not cheating. I appreciate that. So your first word is cave.
Ooh. Okay. Well, that could be a lot of things.
I was thinking the
Could be a
exact
lot of
same thing.
things.
All right. On cave, I think I would have to take a guess of Roper.
Okay. Spencer.
I just go straight to, I don't know why I'm thinking Lord of the Rings enough. They have a cave troll. So I'm thinking troll. So
Neither of those are correct.
I figured it wasn't.
Second word, kidnap.
Kidnap. Ooh. Uh-oh. This one's going to get sad.
I mean, they're monsters.
Otug.
Otugs are good. I like Otugs. I like that when they hit you, they restrain you. So when you like get those opportunity attacks, it's like, you're not going anywhere. Or grapple you. I don't know. One of the two. I don't know.
Well, it might be one of the ones where while grappled, they are also restrained.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right, Spencer, what's your guess?
I immediately went towards hag.
It is not an Otug or a hag.
Interesting.
Third
Hag's
word.
a good guess, though, with kidnap.
Terrorize.
Terrorize. Dwerger?
Spencer, your guess?
One of those can be mine, but I'm not going to say
You
something. So, like,
you can if you
I mean, we
if you
could
want
both
to.
be right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dwerger.
No.
Okay.
Fourth word, climb.
Climb.
Okay.
Drider. Cave, kidnap, terrorize, climb. Drider?
See, now Spencer has to decide: do you go with Kali's answer
Yeah,
so that
look,
if
yeah.
she's right, you both win, or do you go for a different
Try and get out ahead
answer
of me, yeah.
so that you have more guesses as well?
I think I'm not going to go with the Drider. It's a monster, so it's not going to be that, right? Just, Climb, goodness.
Spencer's going to be like, oh, my BBEG.
It's like,
It's Lord Neverwinter.
gosh, I don't.
You can also pass if you'd like to get to the next clue.
We'll pass because I felt like there's more to be had.
Okay.
All right. Fifth word,
Not Drider, then.
not Drider. Hunters.
Hunters. Werewolf?
what is that? What is that? That monster. Oh my gosh, what is it called?
So many times that's the hard part is just remembering the name
names
of it.
of them.
I have the.
I remember what it does.
Yeah, and I have like a. Oh my god, what's that? It's like a walking hyena. What is it called?
Oh, a knoll?
A knoll. Yeah.
Neither of those are correct.
Okay.
Ooh, Noel's a good guess though.
All right, your next one, reel. REEL.
Okay, so something that can maybe grab you and pull you in.
Yeah. It's in a cave.
In a cave. Really bad. Back to thinking roper.
But also has a. I'm assuming it has a climbing speed.
Here's the thing: a roper would fit everything so far, except maybe the terrorize. I mean, they are terrifying.
No.
Something that can induce a frightened condition.
The thing that's killing me is the climb part. Because the climb is.
Froghemoth. I only said that because I had one in my fight last night.
Is that an official monster, or is that like a
Froghemoth is in Wild Beyond the Witchlet, I think.
All right, all right. That's not the answer, but
clearly not.
I'm going to bypass the climb because I'm just a beholder.
Nope.
Ooh.
I'm like, they don't have a climb speed, but I'm just going to bypass that.
They have a hover, yeah.
Next clue. This is number 7. Fire.
Remoraz?
Nope.
No, it's not.
Fire.
Don't worry, these last 3 are gonna start to really dial you in.
That'd be a really OP monster, but devil.
Not a devil. 8. Web.
Fire and web. Okay. Fire.
All right. Start thinking about your spiders here.
What
arachnids do we have? I guess I should have gotten that back on climb.
Yeah. Now he said web, like kind of makes me go back.
Right.
Yeah.
Shelob.
Yeah. It's fire and ground. So cave. It reels you in. Has a climb speed. Fire, web.
And kidnap.
Yeah. That's all. It's not you said Drider already, so obviously no.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It was.
I have to think of my spiders now. I wonder if the fire is like kind of like this. I mean, I'm just thinking of real world spiders. I'm like fire, but nobody likes fire. But what if it's like a?
I mean, I would just go with like arachnid queen.
Oh man, I get more on the spiders, man.
Well, like the arachnid queen can summon more spiders, which could be hunters.
I mean, spiders in general, hunters.
Yeah. It has the fire blood. Yeah, I think it's arachnid queen is what comes to mind for me.
Not the arachnid queen. Next one, venom. I will say this. I'll give you a little bit more of kind of a clue here. Is that I pick these words also from like lore as well, or from different aspects. So fire doesn't necessarily mean that like it uses fire. Could be like a fire vulnerability.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, okay, fire. There could be some weakness or vulnerabilities in there.
Both played Baldur's Gate 3, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
This monster is in Baldur's Gate 3.
I'm on my third playthrough. Let me think.
In Baldur's Gate 3. Where you...
I'm going to change up what the 10th word was, because I don't think it's going to necessarily help you much more than like web does. So for the 10th clue, well.
Right. Okay, so here's what I'm running into, is I thought that was the arachnid queen at the bottom of the well. I thought that was what the monster
There were
was.
phase spiders, there was an arachnid queen, and then there was another one.
Oh.
If you come in from, I think it's like a cave entrance or like through a cracked wall somewhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I know. Oh my goodness, what is that spider called? Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about now. What is that?
You can
spider?
describe it to me.
Maybe I could be so wrong. That's the
All
thing.
Right, I'm going to describe it to you. It lives in caves. It kidnaps people. It
Wow.
Because I think it's Act 2. Or it could be Act 1. No, it's Act.
I think it's still in Act 1. Yeah,
it's
Act where the spider cave is.
Yeah, it's like oh god, it's like the bluish black, red.
I don't know if it has red on it, but sort of bluish.
Something is bluish black. Maybe I'm thinking something different, or maybe what it phases or something. Whatever, I don't know. The second playthrough was easy. It was easy fight because I knew better. But I forgot. Yeah. Oh.
I played this game so many times. How do I not remember this?
And you never fought the Ettercap?
Ettercap. I definitely did fight the Ettercap multiple times, but I could not think of that name.
I will put a picture down here just in the Discord just so you can see what it looks like. Yep, an Ettercap. Yeah, those things in 2024, the new illustration for them, terrifying.
Yep.
Terrifying. They're so bad. Well, all right. If you got this far and if you were able to guess that before Kali and Spencer was, let us know in the comments how early you got that one.
Congratulations. You get to take my spot as a host.
You
can run my campaign. All right?
There you go. I'm fine. I'm fine with that prize. But again, Spencer, thank you so much. I don't know how much you do outside of just TikTok stuff, but here at the end of the show, this is where we give our guests a chance to, tell our listeners about anything that you're doing, where they can find you, any sort of projects that you might have in the works. The floor is yours.
Yeah. I mostly exclusively on TikTok under Spencey DM. It's just a nickname my friends gave me, but also like spicy. It's stupid, but that's my name. That's stupid. That's my name. On TikTok. I'm also about to join a few actual plays here shortly. So we're doing Advanced 5e for that one. So yeah. Other than that, we'll be on the lookout for those. Those are probably going to come out later in the year. But yeah, that's really it. TikTok. I'm very stupid on TikTok. It's just stupid D&D stuff. But yeah.
And we'll have a link to that down in the chat or the show description as well, so you can find your way there to give a follow. As for us, if it isn't your first time listening, you know what we're about. If this is your first time here, besides podcasts, we do a ton of homebrew over at our Patreon, and I do it live on Twitch at Robbie_Landis. Currently, we have over 1,000 magic items, 16 subclasses, 2 species. The most recent of our releases is the Ghost Walker Fighter, which is just so cool. I love it so much. You can find us on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at Cloaks and Capes, TTRPGs. And please leave us a rating or review on this podcast or episode, depending on which platform you're listening on. And until next time, keep listening, keep watching.
Bye-bye. The Cloaks and Capes podcast is created by the support of its listeners and generous Patreon donors. Special thanks to our Mythmakers and Legends, Heartslot, Dolvik, Celtic Crow, Darkflux, Gamergal, Tater Thoughts, Chili, Capelli, and Cuta. Views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of its hosts. Editing and production by Aaron Pillen and music provided by Aidan Hageland. If you want to support the Cloaks and Capes podcast, check out our Patreon over at patreon.com/Cloaks and Capes, and check us out on Threads and Instagram at Cloaks and Capes TTRPG.